All right, so
I have to give you a little bit of credit for this.
Yeah, we can overdub it later. Just
I
haven't had any crazy stories about. Oh wait, no, I do. I got robbed at gunpoint, mugged.
Checking for me, but I ain't checking for them. No.
sleazy real estate guys, but all right. So another episode of the EP podcast here. Back at it again with another home team. Election season is literally here. We are not walking away from it. Back at Arthur's with me, Arthur Hannig, of course, the co-host of the EP podcast. Arthur, how are you?
Great. How are you tonight?
I'm here, man. I'm here. It's been a long day. We've been, going at it since earlier in the day in meetings, going everywhere, watching other podcasts, doing our own due diligence, and then, kind of ready to go into the weekend a little bit. It is Halloween weekend. It's Friday, November 1st, the 1st of November. People are gearing up for the holiday season, for Christmas and all that stuff. I know Thanksgiving's coming up, but it's like Thanksgiving one day and then people are right back into full gear for Christmas. So before all that though, the election is the election day is literally coming up this Tuesday.
It's Tuesday,
right? So we have literally less than 5 days before it happens, and we're right around the corner. We're right around the corner. But obviously there's going to be the after effects of elections, and then it's still going to be in people's mind before the holiday kicks in. So we're still going to be covering that a little bit. But I, for one, I'm a little glad that we're kind of in the tail end of it, just because it's a lot. It's a lot,
We're not quite in the tail end yet.
But we're closer now than we were like 3 weeks ago, and it kind of feels like senioritis here. It's like you're ready to be done, you're ready to clock out. But it's just how it goes. But we have a lot of stories to cover. Before we do that, go ahead and subscribe, like, comment, and share, and then share with your friends, share on social medias, leave us a thumbs up. And if you haven't, please go to our merchandise store and purchase some of the patriotic collection. If you don't want to wear politics on your person, then just shop some of our classic collections. We have anywhere from t-shirts to quarter zips and hats. So please go ahead and do that. But Arthur, where do we want to start? So we have a lot of politics, but we also have a few different things. So probably 60% of this is politics, or can be, So matter of fact, let me just get the ball rolling. So the Trump betting whale speaks out. I have absolutely no political agenda, the whale says. This is referring to a gentleman. It goes by the name of Theo. Is this French trader that has placed a bet for $30 million on Donald Trump, on the one and only platform that we've been discussing these past couple weeks, Polymarket. So Polymarket, we discussed, it's the gambling platform, or not gambling, but it's like you could place, I guess in a way it's a gamble, where you could place bets on literally everything that's going on, including, elections. And this gentleman here came over here and said, all right, I'm going to place $30 million on Donald Trump, placing him in the potential upside of upwards of $80 million if Trump does come out ahead. So, he believes that. So one of the things that he says here, he believes that current polling underestimates the Trump shy effect, the shy Trump voter effect, and as a reason why polls might not capture the true levels of Trump support. Where does your mind go with that?
Well, still, I'm not quite sure how this Polymarket's working. So does that mean that there's more people that are thinking that Harris is going to win if he's going to more than double his money?
Say again?
Before, the Trump was likely to win. So if you placed a bet on Trump, your money wasn't going to double. You're going to get more than you bet, but you weren't going to get a more than.
So the pool increases, right? I'm sure it has increased on both ends, but obviously not to the size of a $30 million, deposit. So, I guess it's one of those things of betting odds, for 100 for 1 or whatever it is, 10 to 1. And so I guess that's what it comes down to right now, based on the pool that they have, is if Trump does win, he has the potential to win 80, and obviously he'll lose 30 if not. So that's currently where it is at now. But what I was wondering about this is new, right? This is new. I've never seen it before. I definitely didn't see it in the last election, this being a thing of betting on political dynamics. But do you think this is somewhat of a risk with how people view the political dynamics, and can it potentially have some sort of influence in them?
I don't think it will have influence in it. It's still somebody's opinion on who they think is going to win. But I find it interesting that the polls they're reading said that Harris was up and Trump was behind. Because as we found out, the newest polls are actually putting Trump ahead.
Trump ahead, yes. And that has to do with all the things that have been coming out recently from both parties, where it's like, you're at the tail end, right? You're going like at full speed and you're going to trip here and there. So, it's kind of been favoring Trump. It has been favoring Trump in that sense. But I mean, just generally speaking, though, don't you think that this potentially could view to the naive, political partaker see this and be like, oh yeah, Trump's gonna win, knowing that this is not the popular vote or the electoral vote. Do you think that this is something that should get banned down the road?
Let's see what happens with this round, then we'll go from there.
Okay. Because, 80 million is nothing. See, last week we were talking about the OnlyFans model, Karina Kampf, I think is her name, and her making 67 million off of 3 years of OnlyFans. This guy could potentially make 80 million, in a span of, however long he's been interested in politics. It could be a year, it could be more than that. But obviously with a 30 million down payment, right? So not all of us start off with 30 million. This guy already had money to begin with, so now he's just going to have more money. But yeah, that's what's going on in Polymarket. I'm really curious about this Polymarket because, if this is going to be a thing, that's next presidential election, I might be interested in maybe partaking a little bit in this thing, But that's just me. So you don't feel this manipulates at all the real political spectrum in the U.S.?
I don't. Not at this point.
Okay. So, and right now you mentioned how Trump now is, the polls are showing that Trump is leading.
That's what the current polls are showing.
Last week it was more neck and neck. They're all still in the margin of error.
Correct.
They're also in the margin of error, but now Trump is leading.
They were saying Kamala was leading, or Harris was leading last week, but when you start to do the calculations on state by state of putting the electoral college in, she might have had the popular vote, but he was going to win the electoral college. Now he's still in lead with the electoral college, but it looks like the country or the polls are at least showing that Trump is ahead on the national poll. But again, it's all too tight to tell. Well,
we literally just came out with a home team episode this Monday that was recorded this past Friday.
Yep, last week. And
literally in that time frame from last Friday to this Friday, there has been a lot that has happened in both parties. The one of them being the Madison Square Garden rally. Right, the Madison Square Garden rally, the Joe Biden hiccup, Kamala going, kind of distancing herself from Joe Biden's comments. But let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about it a little bit because it's definitely, I think, is worthwhile discussing just because it's been literally all that's been going on recently. So let's start off with the Madison Square Garden situation. So they went out to Madison Square Garden and he brought up a bunch of guest speakers, including names like well-known names such as Tucker Carlson, Hulk Hogan, I believe, once again. Also Dr. Phil, who else? Just like a bunch of different well-known names in, worldwide or nationwide. But they had the one comedian. I actually forget the comedian's name, but he was in Tom Brady's roast special. Let's see what his name was. Comedian name. Do you happen to know it by any chance?
I do not.
So it was Tony Hinchcliffe. Tony Hinchcliffe. I mean that's what the people started referencing the saying "kill Tony," or it's either "kill Tony" or "fuck Tony." F Tony, whichever was it. But kill Tony. I mean, Tony Hinchcliffe is known to be an insult comedian, right? Like he goes out there, he bashes, right? And that's part of like his whole personality. And he went out there and made the joke about there being what is it?
An island of garbage.
An island of
floating around
garbage
out there.
Yeah, an island of garbage, and his punchline was like, "I know it's called Puerto Rico."
Correct.
Now, look, first and foremost, I'm Hispanic. I was born in Ecuador. Came to the country when I was 8. I think we're too close to the end to be risking that kind of play. I thought that it was a stupid move on the Trump administration. This guy is known for the kind of comedy he does. Yeah, you bring him out there knowing that.
Correct.
The crowd feedback wasn't that great at all.
No.
The crowd feedback wasn't that great at all, and people draw the comparison between that and George Lopez's performance, like the other comedian that had the one show. I forget what it was called. I think it was called George Lopez. But he's also a well-known comedian. He's Hispanic because he was talking about the George Lopez comedian came out with the joke referring to the wall. He said, "Oh, well, you better not leave any of the tools overnight because, us Mexicans, we see tools laying around, they're gone by the morning," type of thing like that. So people took that as him just like, he's Mexican. So he was making like a Mexican joke or Hispanic joke. So it was kind of like, poking fun at yourself kind of thing, right? Which people take more light, more like joke hard to.
Correct.
Whereas Tony is not Puerto Rican or Hispanic. So it comes off, and he's an insult comedian on top of that. So he comes off as just pure bashing. And I saw the whole extent of the joke. I didn't find it funny.
No,
I didn't find it. He had jokes that led up to it, but it wasn't appealing to me. It wasn't appealing, and they faced backlash. I mean, the administration, the Trump campaign came out like right after, said, we don't really take part with we don't necessarily agree with everything he said. Immediately distanced themselves from that. But what's your end on that?
You should never have hired him. Should never have brought him in. I don't know why you thought this was going to end well. I don't know why you thought this was going to be amusing, but somebody with that much divisiveness in their jokes, not really good for a campaign rally when you're trying to unite the country and bring everybody over to your side.
I don't know that I call it divisiveness. I mean, a joke is a joke, right? A joke is a joke. The intention of a joke is to make you laugh, right? But it's like, it's like there's a place and a time. There's a time and a place for things. That wasn't the time or the place for that. So I saw that. I'm like, what is wrong with what happened here? Where did this go wrong? Because as a result of that, celebrities came out, Hispanic celebrities, Puerto Rican celebrities, including Bad Bunny, came out and endorsed Kamala Harris. I believe it was back in September. This was after Taylor Swift came out and endorsed Kamala, and it was, everybody went crazy. I was like, oh, this is it, Taylor Swift endorsed, but it didn't do that much for her. But although someone else had told me, I was like, hey, if Bad Bunny comes out and endorses for either candidate, that could be a big play. And I was like, you know what? I never thought about that. And then literally shoots himself in the foot, kind of forces Bad Bunny to show his hand, and just straight up repost the video that Kamala Harris came out with saying, Puerto Rico this, we will do this for Puerto Rico, we will do that for Puerto Rico. And then on top of that, I will never forget what Trump didn't do XYZ. And then went on and on and on and on. So it's like, if this was a game of chess, that was checkmate to me.
Well, I mean, historically, they've always said that political or celebrity endorsements for politicians don't really move the mark that much because there's many people that support the celebrity. There's just as many people out there that don't. So they're saying if they throw their support behind, that means that the people that dislike them will throw their support the other way. So I don't know if it really makes a big difference. It's something for everybody to talk about, but I don't know if it really changes at the end of the day because we're not voting based on which celebrities like people the best. We're voting based on whose campaigns and issues we support more.
Yeah, I know, but it's like when we're talking about Hispanic population, right? It's not necessarily about the celebrity; it's who these celebrities are followed by, right? So, like in the Hispanic community, is one that both parties are really trying to win over, and it's kind of like you see them as an opportunity, which is why they bring all these celebrities out, right? It's why they bring all these celebrities out. It's why Kamala bought out Beyonce. It's why Trump brings out Hulk Hogan or wherever else he brings out, and it's just to win, not necessarily Hulk Hogan or the celebrity, is to win the backing that makes him a celebrity. Kind of like, how liquor today is, it's not necessarily whether the liquor is good or not, it's whose face it is, right? Like think of The Rock, right, with Terramana Tequila. Think of Kylie Jenner with, I forget what it is. It's like 8 something tequila. I know you may have not heard of these. Things like Ryan Reynolds with Aviation Gin. People are way more likely to buy it if they see someone that they like representing it. It's like one of those things.
I buy whether it tastes good or not. I'm not.
I understand that, but that's not the majority.
That doesn't make sense to buy it because some celebrity endorses. It's what you like,
right? But I'm just explaining to you the intent intent behind that. So that came out. I believe it was J-Lo to some Hispanic. I think it was Anuel. I'm not sure, but there was a Hispanic artist that came out that was initially Trump, and then came back out after those comments were made, or like, yeah, no, I'm taking back my comment. I mean, my endorsement. We need to be respected. At the same time, videos came out in Puerto Rico of a bunch of Puerto Ricans saying, they don't care what Trump said. They're not what the guy in Trump's rally said. They just care about, they care about Trump, and they're Trump. Which is, you appreciate loyalty, but it's like, it's like you can't be doing these kind of things, But that's that. That's with the specifically garbage island of Puerto Rico. The other thing that I saw was, and this is, I'm going to rant a little here, is, when mistakes happen, that especially with the media involved, that's all it takes for the media to run on anything, right? One thing I saw was with Bloomberg, right? I came at Bloomberg the other day was because what had happened was they posted on Instagram a post saying that, Trump rallies at MSG's frat boy, misogynist, bigotry, and then I forget what other term they use. So on Instagram, there's a thing called a carousel, right? You could post a carousel of pictures where it's not just one. You could post like 10 or 20 at a time, and people just swipe, and now it becomes carousel of pictures. And that's their headline. That's their cover image. And then they post, obviously in front of it's going to be Tony, and then whoever else that they posted. Obviously Trump's going to be there. I forget who else. The only person they left out was Dr. Phil. Now, I was immediately, I don't know if the word is triggered, but I was upset by that because Dr. Phil is not any of that, in my opinion. Now, I don't know if there's some allegation that came out about Dr. Phil a long time ago, that fits that narrative. But if they're saying Trump's frat boy MSG rally or whatever it was, I'm like, Dr. Phil has helped billions with his shows. Dr. Phil has created countless numbers of jobs through his endeavors. Dr. Phil does a crap ton of philanthropy. And on top of that, he has a marriage that's almost a century, half a century long. How are you all these things, let alone a misogynist, when you're leading when you lead this kind of life? And I commented on them, and I was like, oh, I think it's interesting that you left Dr. Phil out of this carousel of pictures because it didn't fit your narrative. And that's just the thing that pisses me. And that's like the bigger problem is mainstream media is what pisses me off about them. They will frame specific things, and this is on both sides of the spectrum. They'll leave specific things out to fit whatever they're trying to sell. And Arthur and I find ourselves arguing back and forth, not even necessarily for the topic at hand, but really the root of it a lot of times is because of how the media portrays something and how we end up buying it, because that's what the media does. They sell, right? And then we end up arguing, and then there's a division that happens, and that's my frustration with the mainstream media. So Bloomberg, and here's the top of, you ever hear about these non-accredited financial gurus or financial advisors that would hit you with that this is not a financial advice on their disclaimers, just so they could avoid any legal scrutiny? I don't know if you've seen that, but I know that's a thing. That's a common thing in social media for these financial gurus. these publications like Bloomberg or Financial Times, I think it was another one. Time Magazine, I also went back and forth with a little bit about. They'll have they'll have their Bloomberg page, but then they'll have a Bloomberg opinion page, right? But then you'll find that the people writing the opinion are like leading voices in Bloomberg, like head of, like call it executives, like Financial Times. I think it was Financial Times. No. It was Time Magazine. I think it's what it was. Time Magazine. It was like an opinion or whatever it was. And then you find out it was the freaking founder of Time Magazine voicing his, he's left-winged, opinion on that thing. But it's like, all right, we get it. This is the voice of your organization. Just be clear. Don't hide behind the term opinion because you don't want to face legal scrutiny. Be loud and clear how you feel, and then that's fine. But when we start mislabeling and then we start framing and then we start selling it to the naked eye, that's what pisses me off. And that just to me seems like an opportunity for us, to capitalize on that. Because months ago, I think second quarter of this year, we came out with the video saying mainstream media is dying. Right. And the key issues were less trust, new age, and just it doesn't feel human. It doesn't feel human. So if you're tired of the mainstream media and these opinion publications that try to frame it as they're just opinions, but are really trying to, change the whole narrative, we actually have a piece of merch that came out on the website. It says EP Podcast, our slogan, and on the back it says mainstream media who, right? So if you are for the anti-mainstream media or legacy media, support us and support independent media sources by shopping our merch, sharing it with your friends, and spreading the word. But that's my rant, Arthur. I know this wasn't on the agenda or anything, but I had to get it off my chest. You gotta, when you have a platform, you got to use your platform. So we left the garbage Puerto Rico comments, and then Biden, while Kamala was out in D.C. over, what was the stage called again? You said it earlier.
The Ellipse.
Ellipse, is that what it is? Yeah, something like that. And then Kamala was doing her speech over there, and then I believe she also announced an economic plan while she was out there. And then Biden was doing a Zoom call, right? Well, Zoom call. I think it was Zoom or whatever conference call application. And then they brought up about how, the garbage thing was said about the island of garbage was commented on the MSG rally, and Biden straight up said it's like, oh, the only garbage thing about yada yada is Trump supporters. Again, we've had this conversation earlier at face value. That's what he said, right? Which hurt, the Kamala campaign. But what's your end of this, Arthur?
Well, I have great news for you. If you're not happy with what Biden said, don't vote for him. Oh, wait, he's not running.
I know, but you still got to realize they're still under the same administration together, right?
So we need to listen to more of Pence's comments where he says that Trump shouldn't be in office ever again?
It's not, but, in a way you are, when there's a leader and there's an organization, the organization is typically a reflection of their leaders. Right. And the Biden-Harris administration, we go about, she's a vice president. She has limited influence, and, she just tries to support whatever cause that Biden is trying to roll out. Some people say he's controlled, but, that's another argument. But the same thing here, it's we're flipping. You're the president. Your vice president is out there campaigning after he's, I would say forcefully, was forced to step down, and then you make a comment like that. I will say it was a faux pas, right? It slipped out. I think in any other case he would have known not to say that, but it hurt. It hurt Kamala, right? Which is why Kamala came out and said, I don't agree with something in the lines up. I don't agree with bashing people based on their political views. Which is a little anti, what has been happening in the last, year, but you could say that on both ends of the spectrum. But give me your detailed take on that. We went at it for a little bit earlier.
Well, with Biden, as always, if you listen to what he says, he seems to always miss a couple of words in a sentence. And if you listen to the next sentence, it starts to get a little gray about, was he talking about Trump supporters or was he talking about the people that are supporting Trump, as in his campaign staffers, etc., that are helping him with the election? But again, you're going to go at face value. We can also take Trump at face value for a few things as well. Why I don't know why this isn't still the focus, but going around and saying that war vets are all losers and suckers. I mean, he said that, and then you didn't believe me, so you did your research on it and realized it came from multiple people.
But I'll go out and say it's very, 20% of the iceberg, tip of the iceberg. Is it an analogy?
It's an analogy for the 10% of the iceberg.
The 10% of the iceberg, borderline research. So I wouldn't call it like, I went out for 6 months into the wild and did detailed research on, anything like that. But yeah, if you look it up anywhere, it's all like same thing. It's Biden borderline said that they're losers. They don't want to attend this. I mean, I'm sorry, Trump said that they were losers. So if that checks out entirely, then yeah, that's absolutely wrong. You simply don't say that, right? But Kamala has also made the comment about how we have no one deployed, out there, but yet I literally have a friend who's out deployed in Afghanistan at this point in time. So it's just weird. It's literally from both sides. So you could blame age, you could blame rhetoric, you could blame ego. But then, I don't know how much more to take it other than that. I mean, our argument, we had an argument about this earlier. My argument with Arthur was that I felt that Arthur would reach a little bit. Like when he made the comment earlier about him saying that, whether it was his supporters or his supporters campaign. And it's like, that's, you got to take it for face value, because of what face value happens when big figures like that come out and say, what they say is the media just runs with it. Now you have headlines literally and you find all within the same time frame saying the same thing. Trump calls losers, Biden calls Trump supporters garbage, this X amount of the population. So people just run with it.
But again, Biden's not running. It's Trump and Harris. So what's Trump doing?
But you're saying that I mean, I don't know. It's you're saying like it's Biden. He said, yeah, you know what? I'm going to step down. It wasn't that. Like Trump and Biden was forced to step down. If it wasn't for that debate, Biden would still be running right now. And you and I have had the conversation that we believe that a primary would have been better after Biden dropped out.
There was
after Biden dropped out, because let's be honest, if there was a primary after Biden dropped out,
right, the primaries happened before, and now people are wanting to recant their vote, going, "Oh, I don't want to vote for him." Well, too late. You already did. Well, you're too far into it. You don't get the. This is like saying, "Hey, I want to retract my vote and vote for somebody else." That's what the Democrats just did. That was wrong.
But it's honestly coming out as Kamala is still not the pick of anything. It's literally all against Trump. And if that's your sole motivation, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. That's your right. That's your freedom to do. You can do as you please. But it just shows. It's like she's not a popular pick in anything. She's not a popular pick in anything. She wasn't a popular pick in the primary when Biden was running in this election, and I mean in the first election, and if there was a 2020, if there was a primary, after he dropped out, I still don't think she would have made it. Do you think she would have made it?
No, I don't.
So it's really something here. It's really something. So, and then Trump came out like clockwork. See, this is where Trump's experience in TV, and even in, aside from The Apprentice, also in the WWE or WWF, whichever it was at the time, comes out, literally like clockwork, turned around all of a sudden in a what's it called, in a construction jacket, vest, in a construction vest,
A safety vest.
literally comes out on a custom truck, dumpster truck, right? Is that the right word?
It's a
Like an industrial dump
It's
truck?
a garbage truck.
Yeah, on a garbage truck with Trump and Vance on there, literally like clockwork. Dedicating, gets on the garbage truck, and literally says like, oh, like this is in not what was it, this, we dedicate this to Trump and not Trump, what is it, Harris and Walls, a memory of that, like clockwork, and that I'm sure that helped them even more. But
That's a great image. Trump and Vance taking the garbage straight to Washington, trying to get the garbage out, and here they are.
some would say they're taking the trash out. Some would say they're taking
it out
the
of
trash
New York
out.
and straight into Washington.
Well, they're not running for mayor of New York or president of New York. That's not even a thing. They're running for the White House. So you can flip it around, Arthur. You can flip it around. So, I mean, I've asked you this question week and week again, leading up to all this. Is like, now where we stand now, it's Friday. Friday night. We have Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Who do you think is taking it?
I still think Trump's going to win.
Dude, what do you see the next 4 years looking like?
Disaster.
Just base level stuff. Tell me about what damages you think Trump is going to have on the economy or just in our country.
He's going to have carte blanche. He's going to have free control. The Supreme Court has issued the president has immunity. And so far, we haven't had a president that's taking advantage of that yet. But if Trump gets it, promise you, he's going to take full advantage of the presidential immunity that the Supreme Court has given him.
So if he goes into office, he could pardon himself.
That's still a gray topic, but technically, because of this new power from the Supreme Court, the answer would be yes.
So I heard something. I think it was a couple of days ago. It was a debate video I was watching. I think it was Common Ground. I think it was the one Democrat versus 25 Republicans. One Harris supporter versus 25 Trump supporters, and they had it the other way around too, like a few weeks before. And one of the Republicans, went up and debated was, for the sake of, chess, call it, for lack of better terms, Biden should, should pardon Trump before he does it himself, if we really believe that he should do it himself.
Well, Trump can't. Well, first of all, whoever's president can't pardon Trump from everything.
Okay.
They can only pardon him from federal crimes.
Okay. So even so.
Okay, so the whole thing that's going on in New York
with Eric Adams?
No, not Eric Adams. With Trump and the New York case, which they've delayed sentencing on until after the election.
Yeah.
Which there's another advantage Trump is getting, because you don't usually wait, but in this situation, we're going to wait. Didn't happen with Hillary. They accused her of doing something instead of waiting until after the election. They accused her prior to it. Trump, they've already found him guilty, but we're not going to announce his punishment until after the election. Okay. But those crimes in New York, a presidential can't pardon you out of them. Those are state crimes. Georgia, which the trials haven't even started for, whatever the outcome is in state Georgia for the election interference from 2020, he can't pardon himself from that. He can only pardon himself from federal issues. Now, the problem with Georgia is because it's a state issue, and he has so many federal court cases in front of it, Georgia can't try him until he's through with all the federal court issues, which if he becomes president, he can just make all go away.
Yeah.
But then Georgia might have to wait until he's out of the White House before they can try him. So he may have delayed that for another 4 years.
Do you think at any point in time we run the risk of seeing Trump behind bars?
I don't think that would happen. I really don't. That's not correct. depending upon, I mean, we haven't even heard everything he's done yet. So I don't know what all the issues are, but you know, how many times you get slapped on the wrist before it comes down to, I'm sorry, you've been slapped on the wrist too many times with that. This is a bigger issue and you need to be put in prison to learn your lesson.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we don't know. I mean, he hasn't been finished being tried on everything yet. But I don't see them putting a former president behind bars.
Right. Yeah, I think it's very. I think they would even take consideration at that point just the image of the country, for the sake of thereof.
Right. That's not the look we want to have for America. That a former president,
right,
is now in prison.
So we think Trump is taking it.
You know, I've been saying he's been taking it for months.
Right, and then it's documented. It's documented. What could either campaign? What could Harris done better? Well, first off, it was last minute. It was last minute. Where do you think she could have gone better?
She has not been as clear with her plans. But, you know, Trump hasn't shared any plans for improvement of the country. He's only shared his plans for vengeance on everyone he wants to go after.
I will tell you that that's not true. I know your next question should be like, what exact plans has he proposed? There is plans. I don't know them off the top of my head. He has proposed several things, but the same thing is said about Kamala. But they both have came out with plans towards the tail end, right?
Okay. Trump has already been president for 4 years. Mm-hmm. What did he accomplish during those 4 years?
Well, even so, just tell me about how you felt in your 4 years with Trump and 4 years with the Biden administration.
Well,
here we go. I know.
We had COVID with Trump.
Okay, but you're saying that? Are you saying that Trump caused COVID?
He didn't cause COVID. America was the country that was the most prepared for a pandemic when Trump came into the office, and then a pandemic happened, and because Trump threw out all the rule books and didn't follow the game plan, the pandemic got to be as bad as it did.
Dude, vaccines were produced at a crazy rate. People received plenty of federal assistance. People were like up, like the markets pulled back in late March and then jumped up for the next 2 years after, like once April hit. Like what am I not seeing here?
When people were coming back into the country, under the plans that used to be out there, they would have been tested, and if they were found positive having the disease, they would have been put in isolation right there, instead of being allowed to go across the country and infect others along their way. We could have kept it out.
People were put in isolation. People were put in isolation with people that, first off, we had travel restrictions for several countries, including a bunch of.
But right as it was being announced, do you not remember the announcement that the United States made about if you want to get back in the country, you need to get back in right now? They didn't test those people.
No, everybody. I believe everybody got tested. No. It's like you had to come back with proof.
Nope. That was later.
Okay.
Right at the onset of this. Do you not remember the announcements that the news was flat out saying, well, if you were outside the country and you went through this airport, if you didn't have COVID coming in, you definitely have it now.
See, this is also one of those things where the last time something like this happened was literally 100 years ago.
Correct.
This is, in statistics, what they call an anomaly. So take COVID apart. Take COVID out of the equation.
Okay.
Right? Because
fine, we take COVID out of the equation. Then what did he do? What did Trump do?
I'm sorry. Do you feel like you had a crappy economy during Trump? Do you feel like life seemed way too expensive during Trump? And do you feel that same way today?
Giving away all of that money, just printing money out of thin air.
Arthur, you want to talk about giving away money? Biden, really? All the student votes he's trying to buy by forgiving their loans.
None of that's gone through.
Huh?
That hasn't gone through.
Yeah, but that's one of the things he tried to do to buy votes. And just
Okay.
look at people's life today. Everybody's complaining about how expensive things are.
Yeah, it's the inflation hitting up with the American population after all that money was handed out, and you could do what you wanted to do with it. And if you would decide to be foolish and with the money, then you should have held on to it for savings because hard times are coming. But everyone looked at this. This is great. The country as a whole got a raise to stay home and not work. So then they started spending.
The people were irresponsible. People got laid off. There's never been such unemployment, low levels. People getting unemployed, and then people needed funding. Now, there was that point where people were making more money staying home than to go to work.
Talk about your lifestyle in COVID.
I mean, I was very conservative during my lifetime of COVID. I had my occasional fun.
You made more money.
That's different. I was working several jobs.
You were getting
W-2s.
You were getting paid to stay home,
Mm-hmm.
and you're making more money.
That was the
not
case
going
for
to work.
many Americans.
Correct.
Many Americans.
Correct.
That's not me. That was pretty much everybody.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, what do you think's going to happen?
Yeah, but
It's called inflation.
That's up to that. But
it doesn't happen instantly. It takes a couple of years for it to go into effect.
So you're saying that the economy is currently where it is because of Trump?
Yes.
Viewers, if you believe that, if you believe that on both sides, because we're going down to numbers and economics here. If you believe that's true, please let me know. Let us know. Give us some evidence, and then we'll continue the conversation.
Things that take place in the economy started as a result 3 to 5 years before. So when did inflation start going up? Subtract 3 years off of it, and what was happening then? It's a direct result.
So you're okay. So I hope this time around, since we're both assuming that Trump is going to go into office, if that is to be true, then Trump goes into office now, and the current economy is the way the current economy is, and he turns it around, or he makes it worse. It's going to be either or.
Well, yeah,
right?
Your choices. It gets better or worse. It's
right.
One or the other. It's
so so what are we?
The economy is currently improving.
Oh my gee! So you're saying that? So okay, I'm already seeing the argument 4 years from now. I'm already seeing the argument. You're saying that the economy is improving. So 4 years from now, the economy is doing great. It's thanks to Biden's efforts that he put in during his administration. That's going to be your argument. Is that not where you're heading with that? Because they take years to kick in.
Takes 3 to 5 years.
Oh,
when you make
Lord.
changes to the economy, it takes 3 to 5 years. It's not an instantaneous thing. It's the way it's always been. Just like with H.W. Bush, and he refused to discuss the economy because it was headed in the right direction. Who got credit for all that?
So there's nothing that Trump will do. Say the economy comes out great, booming after this, because right now, people always refer to the stock market and all that kind of crap when that's doing great, closing all-time highs. 80% of the country's wealth is handled by the 20% of the population, right? That's the 80-20 rule. People with the most money in there are already rich. So it's not a proper, and you correct me if I'm wrong here, it's not a proper reflection of how the country is doing economically, right? So, and that's, I know we have our standards like GDP, CPIs, all those other measurements, but this is what the average American sees. I was like, oh, they're here in stock market. It's like, you scroll through Instagram. Oh, S&P closed at an all-time high. Oh, gold is at an all-time high. Yada, yada, yada. Economy's doing great. Inflation interest got, rates got cut by, half a point. Yada, yada. We must be doing great. Unemployment is all right. We're doing great. But that's simply not the case. And you feel it you feel it in your savings, you feel it when you go out to get gas, you feel it when you go out shopping for food or clothes or whatever it is. But you're telling me that if we're coming out 4 years from now in a better economy where people are not feeling that way, then it's not for any of Trump's doing. There's not going to be a single thing that Trump does or that can do.
Right. Okay. Right now, energy prices. Whoever becomes president is going to be, the prices of energy are going to go down. Period. Doesn't matter who becomes president. But whoever becomes president is going to take full credit for it. But doesn't matter who it is. Price of gas is coming down. Price of energy is coming down, and it's going to be going down. It's going to be lower in the next 4 years than it has been the past 4 years.
So I'm almost curious, like if it wasn't Trump and it was another Republican, say it was Vance by himself or Vivek. Vivek, did he run as a Republican or Democrat? Republican. Or what's it called? Oh my God, what's his name? Kennedy. RFK. Rob. If it was Rob, if it was them and said it wasn't Trump and the economy came out great because of them, or like during their administration, you still wouldn't give them any credit. Because what I'm seeing here is,
I'd want to see what policies they created.
What I'm seeing is
the most of it is going to be credited to their predecessor.
Because I'm seeing what I'm seeing here is that you're giving all the loss to the person prior, and all the glory to the person after the person that came out prior to that one. So like if Trump had a good economy, if there was a good economy under Trump, it was because of the person before him. But if Trump wins again, then it's because Biden did it. Because as you said, their predecessor.
That would actually be correct, because Obama left the economy in an upward swing, and Trump took over. And then when Trump left,
but if Trump didn't do that, if Trump doesn't do great, you'll be the first to say, "Oh yeah, we had the potential to do great," but then Trump came into office and he just tanked all of it. You'll be quick to say that.
Well, he did that the first time around, so why would he not do it the second time around?
So you didn't do any better.
Talk about Trump's tax cuts.
Tell me.
They sucked. They were for the wealthy. He even openly admitted after his tax cut that he was going to do one for the middle class, because
no tax on tips. No tax on tips. No tax on overtime. Okay. No tax on I think it was Medicare. No tax on we threw it out there. I don't think it's going to happen.
Where's all that money going to come from?
I mean, it all comes from somewhere.
First of all, the no tax on tips one doesn't make sense.
Okay, tell us why.
Mathematically, tips aren't taxed.
Why? Because they're never accounted for?
No, because the people...
Well, I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
All right. IRS, he did work.
I worked in a restaurant I worked in a restaurant that took care of that for me, right? Thankfully, I had the glorified version of working in the hospitality industry. So I've only heard things.
The majority of Americans that are in a job that is tip dependent, based on their income and based on what the standard deduction is, that money is not taxed. So it's not like coming out and saying we're not going to tax tips is going to make a big difference one way or another. It sounds great, but mathematically that's not a big change.
Okay.
The no tax on overtime, that one's going to be a problem.
Okay. Why so?
Because a lot of people are out there and they can make, because of overtime, they can make double what their base pay, their salary is. So now we just cut their taxes down by 50%. Well, where's that money going to come from?
Yeah.
Because the government's already short money as it is. So if they're already short money and they're taking in less money, the deficit increases and the national debt increases.
Well, at the end of the day, there's no free lunch, right? As the saying goes.
But then when that happens, we put ourselves back into this rapid inflation again.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And this is a discussion we had during also Trump's administration, is that, the point of the stimulus checks or the aid was not to replace your income, it was to supplement. That was the biggest thing. And then people completely flipped it around. And
it wasn't done correctly. Just giving a flat amount to every American ended up giving the majority of Americans raises for staying home and not working. there needed to be some metric in there about percentage of salary or compensation from the previous year. So this way it would have been more fair. Obviously put a cap on it. So whatever they gave out, that was the cap. However, not everybody was entitled to that full amount. Because when people are saying I'm making almost twice as much by not working, that's this country's work ethic post-pandemic is horrendous.
Yeah.
And nobody wants
What
to
leads
work.
you to believe that? Please, rant on.
Nobody wants to work and everyone wants to get paid. I am so sick and tired of paying people to do a job that I have to turn around and do again, or do the job for them. And by the way, I still have to pay them. Why am I paying you in the first place if you're not going to do the work? And then I have to do it. What's the point of hiring you? Like I'm just sick of that. That's constantly happening. Every time I turn around, I have to do somebody else's job for them while they're getting paid. I'm not getting compensated for it. And it's just the way the world works now.
Yeah. The world or America?
I'm sorry, America.
Yeah, because that's when the rest of the world come to America, and then they'll settle for the same jobs for lesser income, and do even a better job than the person prior to them. At that point, and in that scenario, the predecessor, loses or doesn't get the credit. But there's a lot, man. This this politics thing, man. I couldn't. You were born here. You could run for president. I wasn't. And even so, man, I just see how people come in and out of the office. They look, like they've been through it, right, understandably so. But at the same time, just in the 1 year that we've been at it, this thing's exhausting, man. This thing's exhausting. What do you think?
Well, hell, the people come in and out of the office and look like they've gone through a war. I mean, not Trump.
Oh, my Lord.
You open that door. And as we just found out today, his average workday while being president was 6 hours and 2 minutes a day.
I don't see. Here's the thing.
Where can I get a job that pays me $400,000 a year to work 6 hours and 2 minutes a day? I'll take that job.
What oh, no, man. Dude, what are we comparing him to, though? I mean, Biden, do you really, really think that Biden was at the head of everything, or people were just telling him where to go, what to do, what to say, what to not say, etc., etc.?
We think Trump was at the head of everything and people weren't telling him what to do? I mean, Trump openly admitted, this is what they want me to say, but I'm not going to say it.
Tell me, when you walk into a room, can you typically not tell in business who's in charge of the room? Can you typically, like maybe 30 minutes into whatever meeting you're in, you can kind of already feel who is the decision maker here?
Not all the time. Depends upon the meetings.
Okay, well, in a role such as the one of the president, I mean, Biden, I give both sides crap, but Biden just never gave me the that presidential in him. He's gonna put his foot down and do his thing. I never got that sense from him. And I'm just gonna go out and say, because everybody here thinks that, I'm glazing Trump. Yeah, well, you're glazing, Biden and now Harris. So to each their own.
Anti-Trump.
Look at this guy. He's not supporting anybody. He's glazing himself.
Anti-Trump.
So. So you made me forget what I was gonna say. It's just I just didn't see it. I didn't see the presidential in him. He just always looked like he was dragging his feet everywhere. Nothing out of his mouth. When he had international meetings with leaders, it just looked embarrassing. I remember he had the one meeting with Putin where it just didn't seem like he knew what the hell he was. I don't know. And I don't know. I'd rather have a
Biden had a meeting with Putin?
I believe it was Putin, like a while back, where he just didn't know what the hell he was doing. Was it Putin? I thought it was Putin, where they both met.
Wasn't Putin.
Let's see. Quick.
Last president to meet with Putin was Trump.
Yeah. This was 2021. President Biden and Vladimir Putin meet for summit in Geneva 2021.
Oh, for a summit, not a one-on-one. Okay, I thought you were talking about.
It was a one-on-one.
They were at a summit together.
Yeah, but they met one-on-one. They had a meeting on one-on-one, and it was recorded. Not recorded to it's. Well, it looks like they had 20-minute conversation, but when you look at the video, Biden just looks out of it. He just looks out of it, and it's just like, if I'm thinking I'm your competitor here, and you're like, and I see you that way, where you're just like out of it. It's
other countries aren't competitors. They're you want to work with them.
Well, do you think Russia wants to work with us?
We should all be working together as a whole.
I agree with you. But do you think Russia wants to work with us?
I don't believe so.
Right. So if I'm Russia and I see whoever
but is Russia a free state? No.
Again, and again, whoever it could have been Trump at that seat, it could have been whoever this it happened to be Biden, and Biden happened to look the way it did. If I was a competing nation, and I saw my competitor looking like that, I want that guy to stay in office. If that's what he looks, and that's the kind of competency he brings to the table, or appearance, or whatever the case is, I want that guy to stay because I'm able to get away with crap. Think about, but it's just kind of where I'm coming. I just never saw it, That's just where my mind is at, man. So you're saying that Kamala, she could have done better at being clear with what her goals were.
Yes.
During her, possible administration. I brought up to you a few things that Biden was. Trump was. I keep flipping the names.
Maybe you
that Trump was. I'm doing it both sides. That Trump was proposing. Can you tell me anything that Kamala is proposing economic wise?
One of her big economic plans is to help make housing affordable by doing.
It's not a plan. That's a headline.
I said the headline first.
I know. My bad. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, finish with the headline. Let's start with dessert.
And she was going to do that by having a federal loan program of up to $25,000 to assist with the down payment.
Isn't there assist with? Okay, that she came out with that.
Yes.
While her speech in Washington, right? That was this week.
I heard that at the speech in Washington. I believe it's been said prior to that, but this is the first time I heard it. But I'm also not paying attention to every word that comes out.
Right. It's hard to. Okay.
And we've had a program similar to that for FHA, which I believe is closer to like a 10,000.
That's what I was thinking about.
10,000 cap. But here's the part that I like about it is everyone says, "Oh, this is a gift." It really isn't a gift. The loan for FHA for that does get forgiven under the following stipulation.
Which are?
The mortgage that you take out for 30 years, you never refinance, and you have to pay it off over 30 years. If you pay it off early because you sold your house, that money is a loan that's due in full. So you have to pay it back. Now, you tell me how many people out there actually buy a house with that money and never refinance and stay in that house for 30 years.
I don't know that number.
Right. The majority of that money, it's just an advance from the government, and the government gets the money back. So it's not like it's actually costing the government.
So this is
anything.
just pretty packaging.
It's pretty packaging, but it helps the person in need at the time.
Okay.
So it's not. So if anyone comes out saying, "Oh, this is going to cost the government a fortune," well, not necessarily, because it's just the same money going out in circulation. It's going to come back and it's going to go back out and it's going to keep coming back. So
now, what's to say that if she becomes president, she doesn't come out to her administration and try to propose a bill that says that $25,000 we lent you, forget about it, fully forgiven. You don't have to give it back, whether you sell, refinance, whatever it is.
I don't think that's going to get passed.
Well, they don't tell you that when you're out taking a student loan debt. It's like, hey, finance $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 with us, and hey, it might get forgiven down the road.
A student loan is a whole different issue. You need to crack down on the universities.
Yeah, I agree.
That's where the problem.
But it's just generally speaking, we shouldn't be taking financial decisions based on the fact that the government might step in and forgive it for us down the road. That's gambling.
Correct, but not everybody needs a college degree. And it got to the point that it was being advertised, no matter what you want to do, you have to have a college degree. Well, that's not accurate. So now we have, the enrollment at universities hit record highs, student debt hit record highs. The system was designed to fail.
Has enrollment hit a record highs, or is it just that? I don't know. Enrollments. There's no way enrollments have been hitting record highs because people have been going to trade a lot more.
They kept going up throughout the 80s, the 90s.
Oh, okay. I'm talking about like recently.
I would imagine it's down.
But the money is up.
Well, of course, the money's up
because they keep upping the ticket price.
Correct.
That's so ridiculous, dude. See, that's the thing. I think that's one thing we should all come together on and freaking, put our foot down on, because that's just simply ridiculous. I mean, college students are broke already to begin with, especially the ones that are getting funded by their parents, which I have nothing against, by the way. So it's like, if you really want to help somebody, help the future.
Well, it needs to be done more mathematically. Like, it's one thing to take out a $100,000 loan to go to law school. Mm-hmm. Okay, no law school is going to cost less than $100,000. Mm-hmm. What are you going to make when you're an attorney? Mm-hmm. Okay, you'll be able to pay that back.
Yeah.
I kind of have a problem with someone being able to take out a $100,000 loan for a major in drama.
Yeah.
Like, how many people are really going to get an acting career and be able to pay back $100,000?
The real drama is going to come after you're done in college.
So it needs to be, there needs to be looking at what the major is and then equate to what the maximum the student loan could be based on what the future earnings are going to be. Mm-hmm. And then start looking at it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. I don't know. I have a bone to pick with academia, but too big. Is it one of those things that's too big to fail?
That's what they've proven.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Arthur, see, this is one of those things. One of the things we were struggling with a little bit today is what exactly do we want to cover? Because we know we could cover politics for hours. So we wanted to bring it a little bit of a different light. But that's the state that we're in. That's the state we're in. Regardless, we're still coming to the table. We're still having the conversations. Like I said on the last episode, we're going to go after this to break bread. We're going to have dinner together, and no matter who comes out ahead on the other side of this election, still, we're all under the same country, sharing the same soil. Let's fight through it together for the better of if not ourselves, our children, if you care to even have any, or just for the future of the world. But Arthur, again, tell him to go vote, man. Tell him to go vote.
Vote.
Jeez, man, this guy's supposed to be one of the top sales guys I've ever met in my life. Just tells you to go vote. What is this, man? Come on, man, amp him up.
Vote. You have the right to vote in this country.
You about to cry? Literally, you're about to cry, man. Here you go. You about to cry. You want people to vote? You want people to vote? All right, come on, man. Give us something good.
All right, here are the top 5 issues for the election. Are the economy, immigration, reproductive rights, foreign policy, and democracy. Of those 5, it's pretty clear that one person is leading the charge for 3, if not 4 of those issues. So you decide who that's going to be and go out and vote for them.
Yeah. Make America healthy again. Go vote. Go vote. Go vote. Tuesday's election day. Go vote. Take a friend with you, treat him out to lunch after, go grab a drink after you go vote, go celebrate the democracy of America. Arthur would say, while it still is. Well,
take a friend with you. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Take a friend with you to go vote? How does that work?
Well, if you guys live in the same neighborhood or district, whatever it is, and they haven't voted yet, help them out.
I can't go take you to go vote.
Huh?
I can't take you to go vote.
Why not?
We have different polling places.
All right, well, there you go. Well, to the people who have the same polling places, take them to vote with you. Go vote together. If there's someone in your polling place that is having trouble, an elderly that needs, help with transportation, help them out. Go vote. Go vote. And tell Arthur to, take one of those Pfizer vaccines, because they were so great. But regardless, This has been another episode of the EP Podcast. If you haven't already, like, comment, subscribe, share with friends. Have a great time. Go vote. Enjoy your happy Halloween. Thanksgiving is coming up. More episodes to come. We'll have another one for you next week. And until then, we're better together. Shop the merch. God bless America.